This is your news source evening bulletin for today, Tuesday, the 4th day of October in the year 2022. I'm Gordon Mosley reporting, and here's what we're tracking tonight. The World Bank's chief economist for Latin America and the Caribbean region, William Maloney, believes that with Guyana's gross domestic product expected to grow by 57.8% this year and 25.2% next year, the Bank of Guyana would need to put measures in place to bring inflation down. Mr. Maloney, speaking at a press conference, spoke about the astronomical increases, which he said are as a result of the country's developing oil and gas sector. He said the increases are likely to pose a challenge in the form of rising inflation, but that could be contained with interventions by the central bank.
Those are extraordinary growth rates reflecting the development of this new sector in Guyana. And that's going to, and any government would have a challenge in managing those resource flows to be sure that you didn't set off inflation within the country, and the central bank will need to take measures to control that.
The economist said inflation is the new and unwelcome entrant in the policy space. He noted that while comparable to advanced country levels and well managed by regional monetary authorities, inflation nonetheless is being propelled by forces that may give it more staying power than originally hoped. The Ministry of Finance in its mid-year report said by the end of this year, the country's inflation rate will be 5.8%. The increase is underpinned by high food and energy prices, with energy prices increasing by 8.1%. To cushion the impact, local leaders have lobbied government to effect cash transfers, with emphasis on the poor and working class.
As far as how to mitigate the impact on families, in general, the bank has supported transfers to households to offset the rising fuel and food costs as a more efficient way of supporting poor families than, as I was mentioning earlier, blanket subsidies.
The government of Guyana has issued a number of cash grants since 2020, ranging from the Because We Care cash grant targeting school-aged children to the 100,000 cash grant for children living with disabilities and the one-off COVID-19 cash grant, which was valued at $25,000. Additionally, grants have also been issued to farmers, persons hard hit by floods, sugar workers, and persons within the fishing sector. The opposition in Guyana has called for a more equitable distribution of the grants. Delving into the report, the World Bank economist said, as the COVID-19 crisis recedes, economies within Latin America and the Caribbean have largely recovered to pre-pandemic levels. However, he noted, many countries are still facing medium-term growth rates that are relatively weak. The region's economy, he noted, is expected to grow by 3% at the end of this year, which is considered a substantial increase that is partly due to the rise in commodity prices. He also said the growth rate suggests that countries within Latin America and the Caribbean have a structural problem in achieving higher growth rates. The region, he said, must now focus on long-term reforms that would contribute to higher growth rates. According to the report, monetary poverty has largely receded, but the longer-term scars of the pandemic in terms of education and health have planted deep seeds of future inequality. More news coming up in just a moment.
Man, I've been getting this feeling lately. I don't know where it's coming from. I got this itch to win and win big, and I got to scratch it. Activate, scratch, win big with GTT's blazing hot summer promotion, which runs from July 1st to September 30th. Activate a data plan or bundle and receive a link to your digital scratch card every Saturday. Tap the link, scratch, and you can be a winner of one of our amazing prizes of electric bikes, TVs, laptops, tablets, food vouchers, and so much more. It's gonna be a blazing hot summer with GTT's Scratch and Win promotion.
Office Max, We're all about customer satisfaction, whether it's clothing and shoes for the ladies, gents, and kids, or for the latest electronics or hardware appliance. We're always thinking of satisfying you, our dear customers. Now you can shop online at www.giftlandofficemax.com or visit us at the Giftland Mall, where we're happy to serve each and every one of you.
Get in the game with Buster. Win a full gaming setup, Xbox X, gaming chair, gaming speaker and headset, or any of over 60 weekly prizes like Oculus Quest 2, Mini 2 drone, Nintendo Switch, and many more top gaming prizes. Check below for details.
The Guyana Office for Investment Go Invest has achieved ISO 9001 certification. In presenting a replica of the certificate to Go Invest CEO Dr. Peter Ramsarup, President Irfan Ali today said Go Invest acquiring the ISO certification is a demonstration of the government's commitment to provide services of the highest standards.
It demonstrates that we are committed to delivering world-class service in a world-class environment with world-class standards, world-class guidelines, and subjecting ourselves to world-class audits, because to maintain the certification, the ISO certification, it requires that the organization and everything we do within the organization operate at all times at a high level.
President Ali also said since taking office in 2020, the PP Civic Administration has committed itself to building a governance system that is nimble, efficient, reliable, and one that responds to the needs of the people.
For a government system to be nimble, it has to be both rigid in regulation, but flexible in the environment in which it operates. To achieve both of this, it is important that a set of standards that are internationally recognized form the basis on which we operate as a government.
The president also said Go Invest is leading by example, especially for the private sector. And he noted too that the government will continue to create an environment that is conducive for investment. According to the president, this is necessary to foster growth and development. He said Go Invest over the last 2 years has enabled such an environment by bringing investors in to analyze opportunities here.
There has been a great integration of the relationship between Go Invest, the Ministry of Finance, the Guyana Revenue Authority, and the Ministry of Tourism, Industry and Commerce. It is this collective effort in advancing government policy of creating an enabling environment for private sector investment, for capital formation, that has caused tremendous impetus and energy in the investment portfolio of our country.
The government has called on investors to come to Guyana to invest in the country's development. The president today pointed out that the government is looking to construct a new bridge across the Berbice River and a 30,000-barrel refinery. He reminded too that soon the remaining oil blocks will be auctioned. In observing the 123rd anniversary since the signing of that treaty, the government of Guyana today, through the Foreign Affairs Ministry, said it is looking forward to have the matter settled once and for all by the International Court of Justice. When that decision of the International Court is handed down, it will be binding on both parties. But Venezuela has long said it prefers to settle the matter through dialogue, although dialogue for over 2 decades has borne no results. In the statement today, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs said Guyana brought the matter to the court in an application submitted back in 2018, and that the court confirmed jurisdiction over Guyana's claims, rejecting Venezuela's objections in a judgment issued in December of 2020. The Ministry of Foreign Affairs said that ensures that it will be the court with the final and binding effect of the parties, Guyana and Venezuela, whether the 1899 arbitral award establishing the international boundary between the two states was lawfully issued, remains legally valid and permanently binding as a matter of international law. Over the weekend, the Venezuelan government objected to statements made by President Irfan Ali during his recent UN General Assembly speech and has dispatched a communique with its dissatisfaction. The Ministry of Foreign Affairs said the country is optimistic that the court will decide the case in its favor and that the validity of the arbitral award and the boundary will be upheld. While Venezuela said it is committed to the peaceful settlement of the controversy, there have been various incidents and actions by Venezuela that continue to raise concern over in Guyana. President Irfan Ali today announced that his government will be pursuing several massive developmental projects in the country geared at bolstering investments and interest in Guyana. Among them is a new bridge across the Berbice River, which the president envisioned will increase opportunities for all sections for citizens. His remarks were made during the simple ceremony which saw Go Invest receiving that ISO 9001 certification today.
You will see new expression of interest coming out soon. And we are asking investors across the world to participate fully. We mentioned already that we are examining a new bridge across the Berbice River that would allow continuous use of the Berbice River so that we can open up the opportunities throughout the river.
The government is also looking to construct a local oil refinery, the president said. Up until the announcement today, the government was still locked in discussions on whether to refine Guyana's crude in a neighboring country with an oil refinery or to have its own refinery here.
We are looking at the launch of an expression of interest for a 30,000 barrel refinery. This expression of interest will be launched soon. We are looking at the auctioning of new oil blocks.
President Ali said the stage is set, and at the same time the government is advancing the training of persons to enhance the country's human resource capacity to meet the needs of new investors.
Yeah, we counting way from region 1 to region 10, the whole country.
Well, this serves to inform you that I have just completed the census, which is ongoing in 2022. It is my view that a census is important. It will allow us to understand the demographics in Guyana, among other things. And therefore, it is in that context, I think it is opposite that I say to people, be part of the census, ensure you're counted. It will contribute to the kind of data that is needed to do the kinds of analysis and projections in a society like ours. And if properly used, it can contribute to good governance.
Everyone in the country, we counting.
Doors and windows, Republic. Rooms and more, Republic. A brand new rug on the floor. Come to Republic, come to Republic. Whatever you need, you got it. Come through and get your mortgage. Live the dream with Republic.
95 to 100% financing, 50% waiver of negotiation fees, plus one lucky person gets their mortgage paid in full. Turn someday into today. Talk to Republic Bank about your low-cost mortgage today.
3 days after he was attacked and beaten at a Stabroek Market minibus park, a 19-year-old student of the Government Technical Institute has died from his injuries. The youth, Rolf Samuel Granham, passed away at the city hospital on Monday without regaining consciousness. According to reports, after school on Friday, Granham was at the minibus park with a group of friends when he was attacked and badly beaten by a group of youths who accused him of being involved in a fight with one of their friends at school. Granham was never involved in any school fight. It is now suspected that he may have been the victim of mistaken identity. The Guyana Police Force has launched an investigation into the incident. This afternoon, the police force issued a wanted bulletin for a suspect in the case. He is Kieron Taylor, also known as Laro. His last known address was given as 83 Adelaide Street, Charlestown, here in Georgetown. The police force said he is wanted for the offense of murder committed on Samuel Granham last Friday. The Guyana Police Force is calling on anyone who may know his whereabouts to contact the nearest police station or call 911. The Government Technical Institute, in a statement on its Facebook page late last night, offered sympathy to the family and friends of the teenager, who was a Year 2 electrical student at the Technical Institute. The opposition APNU-AFC coalition has not and will not be making any claims or objections to the Guyana Elections Commission and its preliminary voters list. That's according to the opposition leader, Aubrey Norton. The Elections Commission recently extended its claims and objections exercise to give persons additional time to scrutinize the preliminary voters list posted across the country and to make objections or claims where there is need to do so. During a press conference today, the opposition leader, Mr. Norton, maintained that the list is bloated and the opposition will not participate in a process to legitimize something it has been fighting against.
This list cannot be cleaned by claims and objection. That we need a clean voters list. It would appear illogical for us to be saying on the one hand that this list cannot be clean by claims and objection and then proceed to do claims and objection.
Norton said the claims and objections exercise is a non-starter for the opposition, and although it had its scrutineers overseeing the process, the party does not commit to the final aspect of the process.
We need a clean voters list, a well-sanitized list, and claims and objections with all the limitations cannot do it.
The opposition leader said the Elections Commission must once and for all make moves to properly clean the voters list, since such a demand was made by its own observers during the last elections.
We have a list, Dennis, of 682,000 people. We have a population of 750,000. It should be obvious to anyone that you cannot have a voters list that is 91% of the population. When you, the government, argue that there are about 250,000 children in school,
the Elections Commission believes the claims and objections period could be used to clean the voters list.
We counting we. From region 1 to region 10, the whole country.
We've just completed our census interview. It's quite a simple process. Whenever the team comes to your home, kindly cooperate and get the interview done, because it's also important for the information to be available to us as a government to plan and implement our programs and projects for the development of Guyana. A development that you will benefit from.
We counting we. From region 1 to region 10, the whole country.
Food Max Supermarket, located on the ground floor at the Giftland Mall, is your one-stop shop for all your grocery needs. We stock a variety of imported frozen meat and food products, fresh produce, and pet supplies, freshly made bread. Rotisserie chicken and patties are also available daily. Shop in comfort today at Food Max and let our courteous staff assist you in satisfying your shopping needs. Food Max, the fresh food specialist.
Rooms and more, Republic, a brand new rug on the floor. Come to Republic, come to Republic. Whatever you need, you got it. Come through and get your mortgage. Live the dream with Republic.
95 to 100% financing, 50% waiver of negotiation fees, plus one lucky person gets their mortgage paid in full. Turn someday into today. Talk to Republic Bank about your low-cost mortgage today.
Get in the game with Buster. Win a full gaming setup, Xbox X, gaming chair, gaming speaker and headset, or any of over 60 weekly prizes like Oculus Quest 2, Mini 2 drone, Nintendo Switch, and many more top gaming prizes. Check below for details.
Fuel it up and drive, Super 95. Tune up, fuel it up and drive, Super 95. Tune up. Protect your fuel system, boy. High mileage and performance, boy.
Guy Oil's Super 95 gasoline gives you more reasons to drive and is available at 56 service stations nationwide. For affordable price, high performance, and high mileage, choose Guy Oil's Super 95 gasoline.
Fuel it up and drive.
Across the region, police in Haiti fired tear gas yesterday at thousands of protesters who were marching in the streets of the capital, Port-au-Prince, against the Prime Minister Ariel Henry's government and its handling of the crippling fuel shortages and soaring prices in Haiti. Reuters footage showed a man being carried on a stretcher after suffering a leg injury, and the police firing tear gas and guns into the air to disperse protesters. A gang blockade of Haiti's main fuel port over a fuel price increase Henry announced last month, and the resulting shortages have forced some hospitals, which are powered by diesel generators, to close, shut down transport, and brought much daily life to a halt. The protests took place on the day schools were meant to reopen after a one-month postponement of the resumption of classes after the summer break because of the economic crisis. In a statement to the United Nations the week after announcing the fuel price increases, the Prime Minister acknowledged the right of people to protest over rising prices, but condemned the organizers of looting, vandalism, and violence. He said sooner or later they will have to answer for their crimes before history and the law. Colombian President Gustavo Petro and U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken yesterday announced that they discussed stepping up the interception of narcotics at sea and enhanced intelligence sharing on drug trafficking. The leftist former rebel Petro, who hosted Blinken in Bogota, has derided the U.S.-led war on drugs as a failure and called for a new international approach. At the news conference after their meeting, the Colombian president said priorities were the interdiction of drugs before they are shipped out of Colombia and going after those who run the trade, who he said were likely to be not in Colombia's jungles, but in Bogota, Miami, and even New York. The U.S. Secretary of State said the two sides were largely in sync on the approach to drug trafficking, and he said the Colombian president put concrete ideas on the table during the talks, although it was unclear if any agreement had been reached. And finally tonight, international news. The BBC reports that North Korea fired a ballistic missile over Japan in what appears to be a deliberate escalation to get the attention of Tokyo and Washington. The missile traveled more than 2,800 miles before falling into the Pacific Ocean, far enough to hit the U.S. island of Guam if it took another trajectory. It is the North's first missile launch over Japan since 2017. Japan issued an alert to some citizens to take cover. The US, Japan, and South Korea conducted their own military drills in response. South Korea and US aircraft fired at a mock target on an uninhabited island in the Yellow Sea, while the US and Japan also jointly carried out drills over the Sea of Japan. The UN prohibits North Korea from testing ballistic and nuclear weapons, flying missiles towards or over other countries without any warning or consultation, also contravenes international norms. And that's your News Source Evening Bulletin for tonight. I'm Gordon Mosley, reporting and encouraging you to stay safe.